I'm Judy DaSilva from Grassy Narrows, and I'm Anishinaabe from Canada. I'm a mother of 5 children, and I've been working towards the protection of the water in Grassy Narrows for over 20 years. And I've been fighting the effects of mercury poisoning in our river system, and now the water emergency that has been called on last year. And I will keep fighting till I die. The reason why I wanted you to come here was to know that my people are really resilient, and they're very strong people. And like this thing, 2002 and 2016, the logging trucks still have not driven through here. So like it shows our people how they are so strong in what they believe in. The mercury issue started in 1975 when we discovered the fish were dying, and we didn't know that it was a contamination in the river, because our people are a river people. They historically lived from the water, like the water was our highway, and the hunting and fishing was like all connected to the waterways. So when we found out the mercury was in the water, it had a really devastating effect in our community, economically, socially, and all that. So with the mercury poisoning, it had a really very bad impact in all levels of our community. The way I would say it's like a genocide of our people, because a lot of our people have died from the mercury poisoning, and still today they are. So it has had far-reaching effects in that way. And the mercury is still in the water. We did a sediment study in 2010, and the doctor that did the sediment study, Trish Sellers, she said that the mercury was still on the top sediment when it's supposed to be already a foot down under the sediment, but it's still on the top. And I think it's because the way the river system is and how it flows, that the mercury has stayed on top. So we're still being like affected by the mercury, and it's through us eating the fish. And people always ask, well, why do you eat the fish when you know it's poisoned? And what I put to them is, well, why do you still eat turkey at Christmas when it's full of hormones and additives and all that? So for me, it's because it's a cultural, spiritual food, like why we eat the fish. And it's part of who we are as Indigenous people. The logging industry has been here since 1919. So this forest that you see here, it's not a natural forest. It's a logging forest. And if you go into the forest, you'll see stumps that have been cut for a long, long time. So our people lived with the logging industry since I was a child, since I was a baby, and then when 2002, after all those years, like we did the blockade. But before then, they had spilled 10 tons of mercury into the river system. And I think it's around 9,000 kilos that was dumped into the river system. So right away, like our people were poisoned with that mercury. And so our issues with water has been a long, long issue. And even today, like when we had the boil water advisory 2 years ago, we could adapt to that. But then the water emergency happened August 28, 2015. And so it feels like we're at a really critical point in our existence on the Indian Reserve right now. It's kind of different from the mercury poisoning. So, but we went ahead and did the 200 tests, 200 samples, and then that's when they found the 3 chemicals that were in our drinking water. And last year, one of our counselors called on a water emergency, and we stopped drinking the water August 28, 2015. So it came from the Walkerton experience, and And then they discovered the 3 chemicals you can't boil out. One of the chemicals I found out is it can attack the genetics of a unborn, like a baby that's in the womb. So it changes the DNA structure of that baby, and then so that's how toxic those 3 chemicals are. And so I wanted to bring you here to kind of show you that like our people are very resilient and very adaptive to all these crisis situations, but with this water emergency, it feels like it's at a critical point in our community, especially if it's going to attack the DNA of a unborn baby. We have a water delivery truck that delivers the water to our community, and for the poor people, they are very desperate when they run out of water because they can't afford to go into town to get water. I can drive to town and go get water from town, but for the really poor people, they're really stuck on like they have to wait for the water delivery, and it becomes, I could see it in them today when they're coming to get the water, how desperate they were. Like there's no water, like, and there's so many people coming in and out like trying to get water, and I feel like that desperation is it's how do you call uncalled for. We need the government to act on all these water emergencies across Turtle Island, and also it's very simple to fix. Like for us, it's a filtration system, and the water intake has to be made like further out into the lake, and it's a very simple solution to fix the water problem. But for the mercury issue, it's a more deeper, stronger problem that needs to be fixed. And right now we're meeting with the government, asking them for a river remediation on the English Wabigoon River system, because the life of our people has changed drastically because of the mercury pollution. The water emergency can be fixed with the help of the government, Canadian government, and then the mercury problem, it can be also fixed, but it's like a bigger problem. I think they said to fix the water emergency, it's $6 million. And to fix the mercury problem, it's $120 million. So like the government's gonna, like we need the government in both places, and also the advocacy of Canadian society in general to make these issues paramount in when they deal with their MPs and all that, to speak on our behalf. We're only a population of 800 people, and we're going to be traveling to Toronto in June 2nd, and we're going to be doing a rally there and talking about our water issues, our water emergency. So we go to these big centers because there's like 3 million people there compared to 800 people in Grassy Narrows. Like our voice is tiny, and with people's advocacy, it helps us make our voice bigger and stronger. Just to let you know, like we're in Grassy Narrows, we've lived here since time immemorial. My late dad talks about all over he knew the land like the back of his hand, and we were here forever. And it's not as easy to say, well, go move somewhere else, because our identity as a people is tied to the land. The mercury has been taken out of the river, and there are now new techniques of cleaning the sediment from the river bottom. And I've heard that I think in Sweden they're cleaning a river there right now. In Germany, in the Rhine River, they cleaned it over 40 years. And in Penobscot, in the United States, they're cleaning a river. And so it is possible to clean the mercury. And the Japanese have been here, and they cleaned a sea, Minamata Bay, and it had mercury in the sea. And they were able to take the mercury out and then cap it with cement under the ocean. So it is possible, like, to clean a river. Ordinary mainstream Canadian society has to understand our water problems do not stop at Grassy Narrows. It continues into other Canadian towns. And sometimes the racism has to be put aside, that it's not just an Indigenous problem, it's a human problem. And that we need to put water in front of our survival as human beings on this planet. And I think industry is given too much free rein on our lands to put their pollutants out there and their chemicals, and they need to put water first.